picture this. You're standing in line at the grocery store, or maybe you're just sort of mindlessly scrolling on your phone, and suddenly you hear it.
Ah, yes. The whisper.
Right, exactly, a whisper. A totally scandalous little secret about someone you know.
Oh, those are the hardest to ignore.
They really are. I mean, maybe it's someone you admire, or, let's be honest, perhaps someone you secretly envy. And the details are just shocking. They're juicy, and they perfectly align with your absolute worst suspicions about that person.
It's like a magnet.
It is. The temptation to lean in, to listen, and then to, immediately pass that story along to the very next person is almost impossible to resist. It's the irresistible lure of juicy gossip.
Which is something I think we're all guilty of, at least a little bit.
Oh, 100%. It makes you wonder, have you ever been the victim of a rumor that just spiraled completely out of control? Or, if we're really being brutally honest here, have you ever been the one who eagerly spread it?
That is a very uncomfortable question to ask yourself.
It is, but it perfectly sets the stage for today's deep dive. But really quickly, before we jump in, for everyone watching the full summary for Simplified Summary YouTube channel, please humbly consider subscribing.
Yes, definitely hit that subscribe button.
And don't forget to like this video and share your valuable comments down below. We love hearing your thoughts.
We really do. So, what is the actual mission for today's deep dive?
Right. So our mission today is to explore this razor-sharp, brilliantly satirical short story called Lanchhan.
Which translates to something like, the stigma, right?
Exactly. The stigma or the accusation. It was written by the legendary Hindi author Munshi Premchand, and it comes to us from his Mansarovar Part 5 collection.
Premchand is just incredible. He's so widely celebrated for his profound social commentary.
He really is. But what we have in front of us today, it's practically a masterclass in the psychology of rumors, confirmation bias, and the hilariously satisfying downfall of a neighborhood gossip.
It's such a remarkable piece of literature, and honestly, it feels incredibly modern despite the era it was written in.
Yeah, you wouldn't think a story from back then would feel so relevant today.
But it does. Premchand uses this very localized setting, a women's ashram, essentially a residential community, to illustrate this deeply universal human flaw.
Right.
He isn't just telling a funny story about a busybody. He is holding up a very clear mirror to how societies, police their own boundaries.
And aggressively punish anyone who steps out of line.
Exactly. The magnetic pull of a shared secret. It's a distinctly human vulnerability. We like to think we operate on facts and logic, but, well, a well-crafted rumor targets our biases with absolute precision.
It totally bypasses critical thinking.
Yes, it goes straight to our primal desire for social belonging and moral superiority.
Which brings us perfectly to the person holding the magnifying glass in this particular community, our primary antagonist, Jugnubai.
Oh, Jugnubai, she is quite the character.
She really is.
Yeah.
She's a resident of the Mahila ashram, and the picture Premchand paints of her is so vivid, you instantly recognize her. Like, you know this woman.
Everyone knows a Jugnubai.
Right. She is elderly, illiterate, and poor. If you just looked at her, you'd see this innocent-looking, totally harmless woman. She has a short, stout stature, graying hair, a round face, chubby cheeks.
She looks like everybody's sweet grandmother.
Exactly. Just baking cookies or something. Yet she possesses this dangerous, almost supernatural superpower. She has absolute X-ray vision for other people's faults.
And that physical description, it serves a very deliberate purpose.
Oh, how so?
Well, Premchand gives her this disarming exterior to contrast with her internal malice.
Yeah.
People don't put their guard up around Jugnubai because she looks entirely unthreatening.
Ah, that makes sense. Like she's wearing camouflage.
Exactly. A younger, maybe more imposing figure might face immediate pushback. But Jugnubai uses that grandmotherly aesthetic to hide the fact that she is entirely consumed by the business of everyone else around her.
There's this one specific detail in the text, a comparison that completely reframed how I think about people like this. The author describes Jugnubai as being like a clever proofreader.
That is such a brilliant metaphor.
Right. Think about how a proofreader's eyes actually work. They can read this beautifully crafted, flowing, poetic paragraph, but their brain just bypasses all the beauty.
And lands exclusively on the single misplaced comma.
Yes. That is exactly how Jugnubai looks at humanity. She scans right past the virtues, the kindness, the accomplishments, and exclusively highlights the typos in your character.
It's phenomenal because, a proofreader isn't reading for pleasure.
Right?
Nor are they reading to understand the broader narrative. They are actively hunting for mistakes. They're looking for a reason to use their red pen.
So she's not interacting to connect.
No, not at all. Jugnubai interacts with people to audit them. Her entire social currency is built on finding those errors.
Okay, I hear the psychological defense mechanism argument forming here, but let's be real for a second. Isn't it possible she's just a bitter person with way too much time on her hands?
Well, that's the modern take, sure.
Right, like, are we giving a neighborhood troll too much psychological credit by analyzing her motives? Why does Jugnubai even care so much? She's elderly, she's poor, she has her own problems.
Why dedicate so much energy to auditing complete strangers?
Yeah. What's in it for her?
We might call her a troll today, but the mechanics of her behavior are deeply rooted in sociology. You have to look at her position in that specific 1930s society.
Okay, set the scene for me.
She is uneducated, elderly, and economically marginalized. She has zero structural power. She can't influence politics. She doesn't control wealth. And she has no formal authority in the ashram.
So she's kind of invisible to society.
Exactly. So how does someone in that position manufacture power?
Oh, I see where you're going with this.
By becoming the moral arbiter of her community, by constantly monitoring, judging, and exposing the supposed flaws of others, she artificially elevates her own perceived standing.
Right, if everyone else is sinful, she gets to feel righteous by default.
Precisely. It is really the only way she can exert control over an environment that has otherwise totally marginalized her.
Man, she pushes everyone else down into the mud so she can stand on top of them and feel tall, which perfectly sets us up for the catalyst of the entire narrative.
Enter the disruption.
Exactly. If Jugnubai needs to find flaws to feel powerful, she's going to be most threatened by someone who doesn't play by her rules at all. Enter Miss Khurshed.
The ultimate foil to Jugnubai.
She really is. She is a newly arrived resident from Nagpur, and she is a walking, talking disruption to the ashram's delicate ecosystem. For starters, she's highly educated. She studied abroad in London on a scholarship.
Which was incredibly rare.
Super rare. And she walks around independently. She wears a sari, but she pairs it with an overcoat.
I love that visual.
It's fantastic, right? Mixing traditional Indian attire with modern Western practicality. And she even walks her own dog in the crisp morning air, letting the exercise bring a pink flush to her cheeks.
She is vibrant, unapologetic, and clearly does not care what anyone in the ashram thinks of her.
So does someone like Jugnubai, who has traded her own freedom for the safety of strict social conformity, Miss Khurshed's independence is like an existential threat.
It absolutely is. It directly challenges the invisible rules Jugnubai has lived by her entire life. A woman like Khurshed isn't supposed to be happy or successful without adhering to the traditional structures of marriage and quiet domesticity.
So her just existing is offensive.
The very fact that she thrives is an affront to Jugnubai's entire worldview.
So Jugnubai goes straight to work. She needs dirt. She literally corners Khurshed's servant, the Khansama, to interrogate him while the poor guy is just trying to untie his shoes.
She has no boundaries.
None. And through this interrogation, Jugnu uncovers a few facts. She learns that Khurshed is unmarried, which in that era was highly unusual.
Very unusual.
She learns Khurshed is entirely financially independent. And perhaps most scandalously to Jignu, she learns Khurshed is estranged from her own mother because she refuses to go to church.
Now, objectively, those are simply raw data points.
Right, just facts.
They are neutral facts about a person's life choices. A modern reader sees an independent woman who is financially stable and setting boundaries with her family regarding religion.
But Jugnubai doesn't do neutral. She instantly weaponizes these facts.
Of course she does.
She takes estranged from her mother and twists into she is of low birth and deeply disrespectful. She takes refuses to go to church and turns it into she's irreligious and godless.
The spin is incredible.
It's dizzying. She takes unmarried and independent and spins it into she is arrogant and dangerous. It's almost like she's an immune system that's gone into overdrive.
I like that comparison.
Thanks. The ashram is the body, and Khurshed is a foreign particle. Jugnubai's gossip is the inflammatory response trying to attack the outsider to protect the host, even though the outsider isn't actually a disease at all.
That analogy perfectly captures the mechanics of confirmation bias. Jugnubai had already decided she hated Miss Khurshed the very moment she saw her looking happy, independent, and wearing that overcoat.
The overcoat was the last straw.
It was. The interrogation of the servant wasn't about finding the truth. It was a total fishing expedition to gather raw material to construct a justification for her pre-existing hatred.
Right, because traditional communities rely on predictability.
Yes, and when someone like Miss Khurshed arrives, someone thriving outside of the established rules, it subconsciously tells the rule followers that maybe their own rules are unnecessary.
Oh, that's deep. It makes people like Jugnubai question the sacrifices they've made to conform.
And facing that kind of internal realization is incredibly uncomfortable.
It's so much easier to just externalize the discomfort by demonizing the outsider. Premchand is offering a very subtle, sharp critique here.
He is. We often try to destroy what we don't understand simply to maintain the illusion of our own comfort zones.
And Jugnubai is absolutely desperate to destroy Miss Khurshed. She just needs the smoking gun. And then, one early pink winter morning, she gets it.
Or at least she firmly believes she does.
Exactly. This is where the narrative just accelerates toward the climax. The moment the trap is seemingly sprung, it plays out like pure cinematic drama.
I can just picture it.
Jugnubai is lurking around, as usual, monitoring the environment, and she spots Khurshed intimately embracing a young man early in the morning.
A man in the ashram.
Scandal. The text is very specific about Jugnu's reaction. She notes they were hugging tighter than a husband and wife, that there was kissing and deep intimacy. Outwardly, she plays the role of the horrified elder.
But inwardly.
Inwardly, she is secretly thrilled. She has caught the rule breaker red-handed.
Notice how that completely contradicts the moral superiority she claims to hold.
How so?
Well, if she were truly a pious, modest woman deeply offended by the sight, she would look away in shame.
Oh, true. She'd close her eyes or turn around.
Instead, she observes every single detail. She lingers. She is actively consuming the scandal because it is the exact ammunition she has been waiting for.
She practically feasts on it, and she immediately runs to deliver the news. She sprints to the other ladies of the ashram, Mrs. Kandon, Mrs. Mehra, and Mrs. Bangda.
The Divis.
Yes, the respected traditional ladies of the house. And Premchand describes this scene with such perfect comedic timing. These women completely drop whatever they are doing.
They abandon their household chores.
They literally forget their own hunger. They are utterly engrossed in this scandalous tale. Jugnubai holds court, labeling Khurshed a shameless woman, claiming she is worse than a prostitute.
And she even adds a lie, doesn't she?
Yes, she adds this lie that the man threatened to beat her up when he saw her watching.
See, she embellishes the story immediately. Adding the threat of violence escalates the narrative from a mere moral failing on Khurshed's part to a physical threat against the community.
It makes the stakes so much higher.
It makes Jugnubai a victim and a whistleblower, cementing her position as the righteous protector of the ashram's values.
But what's astonishing is how fast the other women swallow the story whole. I mean, why don't they pause for even a second to think, wait, is this real? What is the context here?
They don't want context.
They don't ask for proof. They don't suggest talking to Khurshed. They just blindly absorb the outrage.
You're touching on the psychology of the echo chamber here, which Premchand captures with just devastating accuracy.
Explain that a bit more.
The other ladies devour the story for two reasons. First, gossip is highly entertaining. It's essentially the reality television of their era.
Very true.
But second, and far more importantly, the story validates their own collective suspicion of the independent outsider. They all felt subtly threatened by Khurshed's modern ways, her education, her overcoat.
Right.
Jugnubai's rumor gives them permission to openly condemn her without seeming petty. The echo chamber works so efficiently because it provides communal validation for our darkest, most uncharitable thoughts.
They were just waiting for a socially acceptable reason to tear her down, and Jugnu handed it to them on a silver platter.
So the mob gets riled up.
Oh, they are furious, they are scandalized, and they are ready for a confrontation. But they severely underestimate Miss Khurshed.
They really do.
They expect her to cower. They assume she will wither under their collective moral judgment, that the stigma, the Lanchhan, will break her spirit and force her out.
Instead, Khurshed completely flips the script. The trap springs, but it doesn't spring on Khurshed. It springs directly on Jugnubai.
Yes. So Khurshed hears the commotion outside. She doesn't hide behind her door. She boldly walks out and calls the gossiping ladies over. She essentially says, come here and see for yourselves.
The theatrical reveal?
It is so theatrical. The door opens, and the secret male lover steps out. Only it's not a man at all. It is Khurshed's good friend, Miss Lilawati.
Dressed beautifully in a silk sari.
Smiling at them. Lilawati had simply been wearing men's clothing earlier for fun, or perhaps a theatrical rehearsal, the text notes she was dressed as a man, and she and Khurshed were just two friends hugging.
There was no secret lover.
There was no scandalous affair. It was literally just a woman in a costume.
And that visual of Lilawati emerging in a silk sari is the needle that pops the balloon of their collective outrage.
It's such a great image.
It instantly, undeniably shatters the illusion Jugnubai had constructed. It is a moment of absolute narrative perfection because Khurshed refuses the role of the shamed victim and forces the community to look at their own foolishness.
Jugnubai goes into a complete panic.
Yeah.
She just refuses to believe what is right in front of her eyes. She frantically runs over to Khurshed's car, searching the seats, looking under things, desperately trying to find the phantom man she insists must be hiding there.
But of course, she finds nothing.
Nothing. Her legendary superpower of observation, her clever proofreading, has spectacularly failed her.
And this is where the dynamic of the echo chamber reverses with brutal lightning speed. Notice how quickly the other women turn on Jugnubai.
Oh, it is a social bloodbath. The very women who eagerly consume the gossip, the ones who drop their chores to listen to her, instantly turn on her.
They don't hesitate.
Mrs. Mehra looks at Jugnubai and delivers this stinging line, asking her if she enjoys having her face blackened. Which, for you listening, is a powerful cultural metaphor in that region for utter irreversible public humiliation.
It's a devastating insult.
But why do they attack her so viciously? Is it just anger at being lied to?
No, it is entirely self-preservation. It's not just that they're mad at Jugnubai for lying. They are terrified of being associated with the stigma of being wrong.
Oh, I see.
By attacking Jugnubai, they are instantly trying to realign themselves with the moral right to protect their own reputations. The mob always needs a sacrifice to cleanse itself of its own guilt, and Jugnu just volunteered.
Wow. And Lilawati actually calls them out on this. She doesn't let the other women off the hook.
She certainly doesn't.
She points out how eagerly they all believed baseless lies. She indicts the entire group for their gullibility and their malicious appetite for a takedown.
And realizing she is utterly, completely defeated, what does Jugnubai do?
She doesn't apologize. She doesn't own up to her mistake. She sneaks out the back door, runs through the alleys to escape the ashram, and the text says she is literally never seen in the city again.
It just vanishes.
Poof. Her spectacular failure becomes a permanent legend, a lasting joke at the Mahila ashram. It's such a satisfying comeuppance, but, as much as we laugh at Jugnubai running away through the alleys, this story hits uncomfortably close to home when you look at how we communicate today.
The relevance is undeniable. We live in an era of instant communication, where a rumor doesn't just spread to 3 ladies in a courtyard. It spreads to 3 million people on a timeline in a matter of minutes.
It's terrifying, honestly.
We're constantly presented with scandalous stories, out-of-context video clips, and unverified accusations.
Right, and you listening probably know exactly the type of situation we're talking about here. You probably have a Jugnubai in your own neighborhood or office, or you've seen one online.
They're everywhere.
How often do we see a headline that confirms what we already secretly believe about someone, and we just accept it? We don't verify it. We don't ask for context.
We just hit share.
We hit share, or we run to the group chat, practically dropping our own metaphorical household chores because we are so eager to consume and spread the outrage.
We all have a little bit of Jugnubai's clever proofreader inside of us, scanning the world for the typos in the people we dislike.
That's a tough pill to swallow.
It is, and we all have the capacity to be the eager ladies of the ashram, too willing to be entertained by someone else's destruction. Premchand is urging us to recognize that vulnerability within ourselves.
Because when we participate in the rumor mill, we aren't just harming the target.
Exactly. We are participating in a self-destructive cycle of hypocrisy. The stigma we try to attach to others often reveals far more about our own character flaws than theirs. The red pen of the proofreader ultimately stains their own hands.
That's so well said. Premchand's Lanchhan isn't just a story from a bygone era. It is a timeless exposure of the hypocrisy of moral policing. It shows us how fragile reputations are and how eagerly society will try to crush anyone who dares to live unapologetically on their own terms.
It also leaves us with a fascinating sociological vacuum to consider, though.
Oh, what do you mean?
Well, we've spent this whole time looking at the danger of the gossip, but here's something else to mull over. What happens to a community when the gossip is entirely eradicated?
I hadn't thought of that.
If Jugnubai is gone, who enforces the social boundaries of the ashram? Do the women become more tolerant, or do they simply designate a new proofreader to take her place?
That's a great question.
And think about our modern world. As we move away from tight-knit physical communities, we haven't eliminated the Jugnubais. We've simply replaced them with algorithms that feed us the outrage we crave.
Oh, wow.
And an algorithm doesn't have a face you can blacken when it gets the story wrong.
That is a deeply chilling thought to end on. If the algorithm is the new Jugnubai, we don't even get the satisfaction of the theatrical reveal to set the record straight. A huge thank you to everyone for joining us on this deep dive into the brilliant mind of Munshi Premchand.
And remember to question your biases.
Put down the red pen and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.